Houthis entering Operation Epic Fury. Let's get into it. First, what's important about it here. So, yesterday, Houthis in Yemen said that they were going to be blockading their end of the Arabian Peninsula, which is important for a few different reasons, but also not. So, after the MOA follow through, and Memorandum of Understanding, and now we're back to kinetic conflict with Iran, and we've reestablished the U.S. blockade, the naval blockade of Iran right here on this side of the Arabian Peninsula. Now, this is obvious for a few different reasons on how it will impact and continue to impact oil and energy markets like it has been for the past few months. We anticipate that to continue to be the case. But the interesting thing is here is that, yes, while the naval blockade is back into effect, the Houthis in Yemen are talking about this little geographical area that they're going to be blockading. But important to note for a few different reasons, right? So we're talking about a very small seemingly small geographical region on a map. You zoom in, obviously that area is a little bit larger. However, all the headlines say blockade. Now, I don't know. We're assuming that it must have been the language that the Houthis used, terrorist group backed by Iran, by the way, proxy group backed by Iran, if they use the word blockade. But this is one of the most ill-equipped terrorist groups in the region. They don't have ships. So when we say blockade, we're not thinking about it in the traditional way that the U.S. has set up a blockade on the other side of the peninsula in the Strait of Hormuz. So this is talking about something entirely different. The Houthis have popped up in the past as being an issue, but each time they have, it's been before the current operation right now, before the current conflict right now. And so all their missiles and low-cost drones that they have been supplied almost entirely by Iran. Now that Iran is using a lot of those assets, pretty much all those assets, to fight its current war against, that we're currently engaged in Operation Epic Fury, the U.S., etc. They're likely not to see a lot of those assets that they've received in the past when Iran was not fighting a direct war itself. Again, they don't have ships, so when we say blockade, this isn't like a real blockade in the way, again, that we think about it with the U.S. Now, the more strategic part of this. So, obviously, everybody's aware of the impacts on energy markets and all of the exports that come out of the Emirates here, as well as Iran, that flow through the Strait of Hormuz, and how the blockade's impacting that right now. However, Saudi Arabia also has a second export facility called the Yanbu facility. Now, we've also done a video about this. Check it out below, of the pipeline that can ship oil produced here across the entire country and export it through Yanbu, and then you can see where it exits or goes west through the Suez. But important to note, again, when you're looking at a map, this is like hundreds of miles in incredibly hot weather. So it's not efficient. It's more cost intensive to be shipping it like this. Now, if you're also seeing attacks along this corridor, again, maybe not as many because they're going to be ill-equipped. We expect to see continued exports on Asian energy markets specifically because everything going east is what's being impacted here, not as much going west through the Suez. Like and subscribe for more.